Have your clients thought about the erosion powers of inflation when it comes to their retirement savings? Let's talk about inflation. Now, there's a quote that I like to say a lot as I'm presenting, and here's what the quote is. Subtle and gradual steps of erosion always lead to severe consequences. Now, what do I mean by that? Have any of you ever seen the Grand Canyon? The Grand Canyon is one of the largest things that I've ever seen. It's absolutely massive. Have you ever seen the Colorado River? The Colorado River is big, but it is not near as big as the Grand Canyon. Who would have thought that the erosion powers of the Colorado River could have developed something like the Grand Canyon? And that is really what inflation can do to a client's portfolio. It is the robber that steals the client's money 7 days a week, 365 days a year. As a matter of fact, if you take the rule of 72, if you take 72 and divide the growth rate of a product into that, we all know that that tells you, well, that means in X amount of years that client's money is going to double. But I have a different rule of 72 for you. Take 72 and divide the inflation rate into 72, and what that will tell you is how long it will take for the purchasing power of your client's money to be chopped in half unless you have an inflation hedge. So Mr. Client, you have $500,000. When you divide 3 into 72, what that means is in 24 years, your $500,000 will have the purchasing power of $250,000 unless there's some sort of a hedge against these erosion powers of inflation. But when you have the interest linked to some sort of index, for example, the S&P 500, which has the capabilities of outpacing inflation, that can provide for somewhat of an inflation hedge. Now keep in mind that Index Universal Life does have limitations. For example, there can be caps on the product or participation rates on the product. But one of the nice things about Index Universal Life, one of the main reasons that Index Universal Life sales are proliferating, is there's no downside potential. So should that external market drop 5%, 10%, there's no downside potential as a result of that market drop. So this is really where Index Universal Life shines. It gives a client the ability beyond, say, traditional universal life products that are set at an interest rate that's fairly low today, while at the same time giving the client some upside potential, and therefore in many cases it can be a great hedge against that robber that works on the client's money 7 days a week, 365 days a year.